Welcome to CHAINCHAT, a podcast driven by our desire to unlock the dialogue surrounding the ever-growing and incredibly exciting digital world.
We are your hosts, Mihi and Nicola, two women from the legal world who are passionate about making this space relevant, relatable and accessible to everyone. Let's chat.
Welcome to our first episode. For those of you that don't know us, my name is Mihi Sorensen. I am a lawyer by trade. I also have my own podcast called Empower with Mihi Sorensen, and now we're running CHAINCHAT as well. We also have OrixGold. CHAINCHAT is powered by OrixGold, and OrixGold started as a project that we wanted to run because we felt that the tech world, so Web3, crypto, blockchain, all of that stuff is very intimidating, which we're going to get into a little bit more with this episode. But we started OrixGold because we wanted to make all of this stuff more accessible to normal people, people that aren't developers and that aren't familiar with the language and the digital world as it is today. So that's me. I'm Mihi. That's OrixGold. I will pass over to Nick. Nick, tell us who you are.
Kia ora and welcome to our first episode. My name is Nicola Clark-Fa'amu. Like Mihi, I'm a lawyer by trade as well. This is my first podcast, so it's like super exciting for me. But we started OrixGold with the intention of, learning ourselves, but I guess sharing our learning at the same time about Web3, blockchain, crypto, NFTs, like the list goes on, metaverse. And now we have CHAINCHAT, where we can actually talk about it and have discussions and share those discussions with you. So as we learn, you learn too. So tato, it's all about sharing around here.
Yes. And to be clear, like, we are not experts by any shape of the imagination, not at all. But Nick's right. I learned the most about this stuff when we had conversations. Conversations are the most powerful way to share information. So here we are. And today for our first episode, it felt right to talk about why cryptocurrency is so scary. So something that we identified quite early on in the piece is that crypto and blockchain and all of these concepts that we're already alluding to feel very unfamiliar and very techie for people that aren't techie, like ourselves, or computer developers or whatever. There is a big fear of the unknown and a lack of understanding. What do you think, Nick?
I definitely agree. There is such a huge fear of the unknown when it comes to tech and the digital space, especially I think when we're talking to, say, our parents or even our peers that are in the same age group as us, who, we grew up with computers, we grew up with the internet, but we didn't grow up in that world, I guess. And it's becoming a world. We have things like metaverse where you can literally become an avatar and be someone else and conduct your business and be paid for it. And, turn your computer off and leave that world and come back to the real world and just carry on with life as normal. So, yeah, we are not computer developers. I have tried coding. Not for me. Not the tahi. Like Mihi, a lot of the learning in this space was definitely through the conversations we had. Some of those really, really early conversations about what is an NFT, what is cryptocurrency. I remember those really early days when we were just chucking $20 in crypto, like, hey, I brought $20 worth of Bitcoin. And then, together monitoring the market and having discussions about things that were happening. So yeah, it became a little bit more familiar because it became a conversation we were having every day. And I think that's what's needed in this space, is to make this conversation normal.
Because we were scared of it. Sometimes crypto still scares me because it's something that we're constantly learning. There are many things in the world that you can read a book about and then you feel like you understand everything. Crypto is not one of them. And nothing in Web3 applies to that rule because it is constantly developing. At the moment, it is constantly developing. So I think it's a matter of always being up to the play with what's going on all the time and being ready and prepared to research. And don't let that put you off, because I know people are going to be listening already and saying, this sounds like too much work.
It
Life
definitely
is
felt
too
like
much
that for
work.
us. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's too much work. I mean, I constantly feel like even though we are in this space, we're learning about this space every single day, we're not even right at the forefront of what's happening because it is developing so fast. And I think
Yeah.
when you become comfortable with that, that it is just going to be a constant learning process, that's when it becomes a little bit easier or a little bit less scary.
So if we think about what are the things in particular that make crypto so scary? So, first of all, I think a big one that people sort of lean into when they're giving reasons about why they're not interested in tapping into the market is its volatility. Compared to, if you're familiar with the share market, if you put $20 into Bitcoin, it has the potential to jump up,
Tenfold.
yeah, in a day and then drop back down again. That's the way that crypto works. That's not unusual. Maybe not Bitcoin, but certainly for some of the other up and coming coins that are new to the market. And depending on what's happening out in the world, the Ukrainian war at the moment had a huge impact on the crypto market, much the same as the stock market.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I think volatility when we're thinking, I mean, like for me, volatility definitely reared its ugly head when I put money into cryptocurrency with the intention that I'll just let it sit there and, accrue value. But I need to pull it out by this particular date to buy what I needed to buy with it. And then the Ukrainian war came. We had, like we've still got the after effects of the COVID pandemic. And just seeing when I put it in, it was on the up and up. It was a bull market, as they call it. When I had to pull it out at the end of last month, it was not where it was when I put it in. And yeah, I made a loss, but it's definitely, or I should say, I took a loss, but it's definitely a learning curve. And I think if you're aware of the volatility, much like the share market, and you're aware of your risk appetite, how much you're willing to risk, then yeah, it makes things, it's still scary, but it makes things a little bit less scary, I think.
so what else makes it scary? It's digital currency. So we know it's money, but it's not money as we understand it. It's all very new. Computers, in the scheme of things, are very new. The internet is very new. So, like we were talking about at the start, my parents, not interested, don't want a bar of it because it's just not for them. They find it hard enough to type on a keyboard. And that's just second nature to us now because that's how we work every day. But that's not the world that they were used to 50 years ago. And I think because of that, it sounds attractive. Digital currency sounds attractive, but not understanding how that actually works in practice is really off putting. And that's why I think a lot of people are so fearful of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you're so used to something holding something tangible, like notes, coins, even to the extent of like an FPOS card or a credit card or a debit card, moving to a system that is completely tech based, there's nothing tangible. You cannot go down the road and put your card in a machine and take a Bitcoin out. Like that's where the difficulty lies, I think. And then if you are in a completely digital world and your currency is completely digitally based, I think there are fears there around security as well.
Definitely. Yeah, hackers are a big one. I know that, and it's interesting because, as you know, Nick, and now everyone else is going to know, my partner suffered massively as a result of some hackers getting into one of his crypto wallets, stealing his NFTs. It's a whole thing. We'll get him on one day to talk about it, but today is not that day.
I think that wound's still a bit raw. It's a bit raw
The
for
the
me. And I only lived it vicariously, like.
I know. So we will get there, but the point is, again, when you have tangible notes and coins, no one can hack you to take them off you. They're in your hands and they're safe. Whereas with digital currency, there is a risk of hackers, and because it is a new technology, it is more susceptible to hacking. It's just the way it is. I think in addition to that, there's also so many coins, and that probably wasn't the case 10 years ago, but now, just as everyone started really growing interest in this space, everybody wants to make a new crypto coin. Likewise, everyone wants to start their NFT project, and a lot of you would have seen lots of people starting NFT projects. And how do you decipher which one is actually worth investing your money in?
I mean, I just read in the news that Malaysia are looking at making cryptocurrency a legal tender. So naturally, they're going to be creating their own crypto coin, and that's just going to add to the thousands of different crypto coins that are currently on the market. You know, everyone talks about Bitcoin and Ethereum, but you've got Mana, that bro, my mind's gone. You've got Mana that is behind Decentraland, which is, you know, in the metaverse. You've got the Beefy coin. I mean, personally, I only invested in the Beefy coin because it had a cow as its little as its little token, and it looked kind of cool. So I thought, oh, let's put some money in there. But you've also got things like the Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, and you know, like there's so many different coins out there. Choosing which one to invest in can sometimes feel like a little bit of luck of the draw. Do you go for the brand new coin, the one that looks cool, like the beefy coin with the cow, or do you go with something a little bit more traditional like Bitcoin, Ethereum? So yeah, having choice is great, but also having too much choice can be just as bad. So
It's like going to a restaurant and trying to order from a menu when everything on the menu is just everything that you want, you
yeah,
know?
a little bit like going to
I'm thinking
tennis.
about food.
I think one thing is for sure, and that is it is definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. So I think if you're feeling unsure or fearful, you need to overcome that because if you're not fast, you're last. And
100%.
we want you to be fast.
Yes. We're a bit late to the game, but that doesn't matter, everyone. It's never too late.
It's never too late. I like to think of it this way, you know, we're starting a podcast. There are thousands of podcasts out there. Our podcast, there's still room for our podcast. Like when I look through Apple Podcasts at, you know, discussions around blockchain or metaverse or Bitcoin or, you know, cryptocurrency, Web3, whatever, I still feel like there's room for us. And I think that's what it's going to be like in crypto. There's always room for you to get on board. And now's the time to do it.
And I think with the podcast thing as well, just like anything else in life, I feel really passionately about anything you do, as long as you help one person, then I think it was worthwhile doing because where else would that person have obtained that knowledge otherwise? And what I've noticed personally, outside of you and I, and obviously my partner is a little bit in this space as well, is that a lot of my friends want to get into this space but are too afraid to do it. For example, none of them know how to actually invest money into crypto. And so here I am further down the track talking about, oh, I'm thinking about putting my money into this, or I'm looking at this NFT, and that doesn't even make sense to them because they don't know how to invest in crypto. And I think it's easy for some of us, once we're further down the line, to forget that those things that seem really simple to us now because we do it frequently are still what everyone else needs to learn. But I don't want those things to act as like gate stops so that people, it's like, oh, well, I don't know how to invest in crypto, so I'm just not even going to bother learning anything else about it because what's the point? That's not how it needs to be. Also, our second episode is going to be on how to invest in crypto, so don't go anywhere because we will help you out. I think overall, though, how did, here we are, we're talking about why cryptocurrency is scary. I've said that I was scared. Nick, were you scared at the
Oh,
start?
100%. 100%. That fear of not knowing anything, might lose money, didn't want to look dumb. When you step into a world where you don't know anything, all of those things can impact whether or not you continue. But like we said earlier on, lots of conversations between us were, I guess, a chance for us to get a little bit more confident, learn more, we encouraged each other to learn more. We pushed each other to learn more. So while we were overcoming our own fears, we were also helping each other overcome fears as well.
And I think, and it doesn't surprise me, but because there's a lot of distrust of the space right now, in the mainstream especially, saying and talking about crypto or anything else happening in this space feels a little bit taboo sometimes. Like, I think we didn't actually figure out that we were both interested in it until we'd kind of just casually dropped it into conversation. And then for me, I was like, hold on, she likes to be involved in this stuff and so do I. And I feel safe with Nick because she isn't a computer developer, or even my partner. Like, I love him to bits and I learn a lot off him, but it's nice to find people that are like you, that are not from that world. Like, my partner is a gamer, so he's kind of already always had his toes in the space. I have not. I am not a gamer. All I'm good at is typing fast, and that is helpful as a life skill. Doesn't mean a whole lot when I'm trying to learn about how crypto works. I think for me personally, when Nick and I realized that we're both interested in this space, we're both quietly investing money here and there, suddenly I was like, oh, okay, now I've got someone that I can talk to, that I can relate to, and I love my partner, and he was involved in the space much earlier than I was, but he's a gamer, and so he's kind of used to it, whereas I was completely new to it. The only thing that I knew how to do was type fast, and that is very beneficial in life, and as a lawyer, doesn't really mean a whole lot when you're trying to learn about crypto.
100%. And I think also when you're not, the opposite was for me. My husband is just not interested at all in crypto, or in Web3 or blockchain. So I kind of had the other experience where I could talk to him about it, but would learn nothing in return. So I often like to think, we all know someone out there who is probably interested in getting into crypto, but because it is still a little bit of like a woo-woo subject, might be a little bit ashamed to talk about it, and that's okay. That's why we created this podcast, to kind of give a handout That's why we created this podcast, to give kind of a hand up rather than a handout. And I think we're just really excited. We both know that there's so much opportunity in Web3, in metaverse, in crypto, in blockchain, and all of that, to build wealth, to upskill, to innovate, to be involved. And absolutely there's potential in that type of technology for creators and entrepreneurs. So if we can make that a little bit more accessible for people who are interested, but like me and Mihi, we're a bit, dropping keywords and hints there, here and there, to suss out who was in the know and who wasn't. So with all of this in mind, are you still scared of crypto, or did this episode pique your interest? Let us know what you think on YouTube and Instagram. We've got the links in our description below.
Thank you so much for joining us for our first episode. We have launched another 2 episodes which are available for you to listen to now, so check them out if you're interested. We will be launching episodes weekly, so every Tuesday come back if you want to listen to something new from us, and we will chat to you next week.